Hello, everyone. How's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. Looks like,
Hey Jay.
hello. Looks like people still may be joining here. So let's see here. Let's give a couple minutes, I think, to get a few more people in here. 5 p.m. Eastern time is not always the best time for an AMA, but we have a lot to cover off on today as we prepare for the Cure Chain release and just a lot of topics. And I want to make sure that we cover off on everything. So first off, this is recorded, so we'll be able to distribute this into the group. We'll pin it. We'll also put a link out on Twitter for those who aren't able to actually attend it in person. But there's a lot to cover off on today. But before we get into that, let's talk a bit about the history of the Cure ecosystem. What started with Cure Token, and why it came to life, and where we are today in this evolution of building this massive ecosystem that all revolves around Cure Token. So Cure Token V2 launched in September, which is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. It launched September of 2021. And, simply put, when it launched, it was exclusively just a charity token, and has evolved since that point. And, being a charity token has its benefits, but it also has its downfall, especially in crypto. If you're just a charity token, you don't offer any viable utilities. But we built that token and took it to some great heights. I think it was a 56 million market cap at one point. We've had obviously some declines. The market itself is down nearly 60% in BNB alone since we launched, which is no news. Everybody who's in the crypto space knows the down market that's been occurring since November/December of last year. But inevitably it is going to recover. And when it does, we'll be in a much better position than where we stand today. But being the project that it was, we've done a lot of stuff, stuff that other projects, can only admire, and wish that they could achieve. We were listed on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko within a 24-hour period. We introduced some additional benefits to holders, such as staking with some massive rewards. We got listed on our first centralized exchange in December of 2021. And then we concepted and started to develop Cure Chain. And that's where we are today, is in this evolution of the Cure ecosystem in the introduction of Cure Chain. So lots has occurred over the past, I want to say 7-8 months here, as we built this thing out. And there's a lot more that's on the way. This is just the first next step of several more steps that we're going to be taking over the next few months here. So we're sitting here at the end of May, 5 months into the year, and that leaves us, a significant amount of time to do quite a bit. So the Cure Chain concept is what came to us while sitting in the pandemic and trying to understand how we were able to come out with a vaccine so quickly. And when you break that down, it comes down to access to data as first and foremost. Secondly, it's access to resources. It's collaboration, which wasn't seen on a mass scale as we saw during the pandemic, and other reasons. So, but what Cure Chain is it's the first iteration of Cure Chain is it's building a consent model. Let me pause. Let me come on here real quick. Sorry, Miguel, got to mute you. Your background noise. But Cure Chain is about providing consent. One of the biggest gaps that we're trying to solve right now is knowing that people who contribute to medical research and science and contributing their own medical information, they need to provide consent. And right now there's a big problem where researchers, hospitals, networks don't have easy ways of maintaining that consent model. So this is what that first solve is. And this is going to be a continual evolution of more things that are going to be added on to this in order to create much more of a value system, tokenization of the data, and lots of other things. But this is that first step, and that's where the phase we're in right now. We have launched this beneficiary utility as a utility of Cure. The goal here is to, I got to mute my computer. It is going nuts here. Give me 1 second so I can close down a bunch of these windows. All right. Sorry about that. A lot of pinging in the background. So I was talking about the evolution. So, being, as I said earlier, being a charity project, it's imperative that we find the utilities that can make it much more than just a charity project. So that's obviously the introduction of CurePay, which we're still working on to get into the hands of other projects. We strongly feel that is going to be a viable utility for Cure and for the Cure ecosystem. The second of which is now Cure Chain, that this is a beneficiary utility that of the taxes, a percentage of them are going directly into the Cure token chart, which that's just going to help build, our liquidity on Cure token, but as well, hopefully get our chart to rise as we move this along. So all of that tied together is the right move for this Cure ecosystem. And as I said, there's a lot more on the way. So development has started on this. We've actually met with Jim Nasser and his team to plan out how this consent model is going to be created, the network it's going to exist on, which is the Hedera network for this piece of the utility. But as well, there's so much information on the website. If you want to go to it, it's curechain.info and take a look at everything there. There's a lot of information there. We get into a lot of details, as well as there's a white paper there. But this will be expanded to over time as we get more information. We'll be adding it to the website. So there's tons of advantages to being a Cure token holder. I just want to reiterate that because there's been a lot of misconceptions floating around that Cure token is going away, and it's not. I mean, it's at the center of this ecosystem, and everything else revolves around it. So it's imperative that people understand that this is not a new launch in a way that we're abandoning Cure token. In fact, it's the exact opposite. We're trying to find ways to make Cure token stronger, and what better way to do that than having funds injected into it from Ethereum, where Ethereum holds a lot more investors, sometimes a lot bigger investors than the BSC space. So we are looking at this as being a growth strategy for Cure token. So as I mentioned, our launch is coming up here on the 2nd. So today we're sitting here Tuesday the 31st. That leaves us with 2 days. Our sequence of events here are that we obviously have been running a pre-sale, which is closing rapidly. The pre-sale is actually closing tonight at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So I know there's been people that have requested spots but have not yet given their deposits of Ethereum. Now is definitely the time to do that. If it's not in by midnight Eastern Standard Time, unfortunately, you won't be part of the pre-sale slot that you had requested. So if you have to do that still, you have a small window of time to do so. Now, tomorrow is going to be a big day, a lot of additional planning, as well as the team is working really hard on kind of organizing a few things, some of which are obviously the contract is something that we want to get released and audited starting tomorrow so that people have time to review it, have time to see all the features, which I'll go over here in a second. But we're trying to get that out tomorrow. We also have KYCs performed, which will be released tomorrow as well, if not sooner, which were performed by Seek. So Rob over at Seek Token, formerly Rug Seekers, performed in-depth KYC. This is a more in-depth KYC than any KYC on the market today. It says a lot more than just a certificate. They go into a complete background check, more so than any other KYC platform out there. So that'll be released maybe as soon as today, but hopefully we're shooting for it tomorrow. Then after the pre-sale does close at midnight tonight with Ethereum having been sent, there's a lot of data processing which we're going to need to do tomorrow to get that all set up for our distribution and vesting, which I'll talk about here in a second as well. And then additionally, tomorrow is going to be a day of scheduling AMAs so that when the launch happens on the 2nd, we will have one at least, hopefully more AMAs scheduled directly following the launch. So the launch will take place at 5 p.m. Eastern when the contract will be enabled. And as I said, we'll be doing an AMA or AMAs at that point, as well as followed up by group AMAs. Now, as far as the contract features go, there's some new features which we're introducing, which I think are some pretty exciting features here. One of which is an anti-bot feature. And that means that the first 5 blocks written to the blockchain when the contract is published, as everyone knows in this space, those are usually flooded by programmatic bots. So automated bots that go in and try to buy whenever they see a new contract get released. The first 5 blocks are throwaway blocks, which means do not buy unless you're told by us, myself, to buy, because if you do, your purchase will be invalidated by the contract, and you will be added to the anti-bot list. So it's super imperative that you pay attention when we do launch this to avoid that from occurring. We also have a feature which is a cooldown function. This is kind of a cool function as well in that it prevents mass sell-offs by the same person within a specific interval or transfers. And the reason this is important is I think we've all seen from Cure Token and other projects that a lot of times people exit projects really rapidly and causing a lot of issues, incurring just a lot of problems along the way. So there's a cooldown function which will be set, but we will communicate exactly when that's happening and what the threshold is. This can be set from nothing, so 0, but it can be set to any number. It could be a minute, so between transactions, a couple minutes, or any variable that we determine. The purpose of which is to slow down a single wallet's ability to interact with the contract. So not limit their ability, just slow it down so that it evens things out and eliminates some massive spikes. The other really cool feature, and really the brainchild of Eric, is the dynamic tax feature. And this is really cool. So what this means is that you're incentivized for making bigger purchases because the taxes in the contract, which on the buys don't exceed 10% or can't or won't, the benefit is the bigger buy that you make, the lower your taxes are. And it's all based on the price impact, what the price impact is to the chart. So this is great because, as I said, if you're doing small buys here and there, you're probably going to get into the 10% bracket. As Cure Token contract is, I think we're at 8% right now. But the bigger buys you make with the price impact being different, it will allow you to get that as low as 4% on taxes. And inverse to that, on the sells, it's the same thing. So there's a price impact variable based on what your current price impact would be on the chart, and your taxes will fluctuate as well. So all of this information is available on curechain.info website, and you'll see the variables. But so this is incentivizing buyers and de-incentivizing big buys, de-incentivizing big sells, not de-incentivizing selling in general, just massive sell-offs, so that we can, again, even out the flow and the natural organic flow of the chart so that it does not have massive ups and downs, but evens it out over time. So there's other features. Those are the big ones. But other than that, the contract has features just like most any other contract out there. I don't think there's anything else to call out except for those 3 that have been primarily added. Now, as far as the vesting period goes, for those who are participating in the 0% tax incentive, which we've run, as well as the 2 and the 5% on top bonus that we've run. So depending on your stage that you've entered into. The vesting period is over a 38-day period, and tokens are distributed hourly. You will be able to pull them out at any point you want of what's been distributed from the vesting period, but it is a 38-day period. So if you are in the pre-sale and you do want to also participate in the day of trading, it'd be a great idea to have some Ethereum on hand in order to do so. But this is for the reward of 0% tax, as well as the on-top bonus of 2% and 5% if you are eligible for that. So lots been covered off on. Those are some of the big topics that we've outlined here. And I wanted to open it up for some questions in the chat or on voice if anyone has any questions that they do want to talk about. So let me see if the chat has anything here. Let's see. Or does anyone on the team have any points to clarify or other points to make? Okay, I see someone put the price impact in here so they can see that. That's great. And yeah, so CureChain, I see MS question here. Yeah, so CureChain is on ETH. It's going to be available on Uniswap. And at the moment, let me get you what we've been pledged versus what we have. Obviously, there's a lot of breakage, so don't think that all of this is coming in. But let's see here. So we had pledged from a variety of different people a total of 44 ETH, which is roughly 90 grand, right around there. So far, we have not received that. We are closer to, I think it's 36 grand or 19 ETH. We do anticipate more coming in because we did have 20 whitelist spots, which were opened up for Caesars as well as Venom yesterday. So we anticipate some of those to probably be taken, probably not all of them. And we also still have a list of approximately, I'd say 50 people who have not yet sent in ETH that still have a window of time to do so. I have emailed all of them through a platform, but as well emailed them from the support at curetoken.net. So it should not be in their spam boxes, but the window is closing. So if these people are not going to put ETH in, unfortunately, they're not going to be part of the pre-sale here. So yeah, I think hopefully, MS, I hope that answered your question. Does anyone else have any other questions outside of anything I already covered off on, or anything outside of that? All right, I'm not seeing. I think MS is typing. Well, great. Well, we have a very busy. Oh, total supply. Yeah, total supply is going to be. What is it? It's I think 780 million. Eric, are you on?
Yep, 780 million.
Yeah, 780 million. Type that in. Yeah, so 780 million. The starting points of the price will be determined tomorrow once we know the full liquidity that's come in from the presale. But that'll be released tomorrow. So our opening price, as well as what the market cap ratio will be. So more on that coming tomorrow. I see some other people typing here. But while they're typing, does anyone else have any questions they want to ask over voice? Oh, and I just realized my video's off. Apologies for that.
Are we supposed to get an email confirming that you received our contribution?
There is no email confirmation.
Okay.
But yes, yours has been received. There's your confirmation.
Okay.
All right.
And my husband's as well?
Yep. There I am. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I didn't know I was off video that whole time. So apologies for that. Yeah, so yes, both have been received. All right, what else we got here? Will CoinChain have its own CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko page? Most likely, so they will. I'm working with CoinMarketCap to get our page updated to be inclusive of both, which is an option. And we do have the, I guess it's enhanced privileges for that to do so. But we need to get the contract published, get the contract addressed before we can even go any further chasing that. But the plan is that we would integrate first, and if we can't, it'll be separate. But even if we do integrate, we'll probably have a separate one as well. But yes, that stuff is all underway tomorrow as well, once we get the contract published on mainnet. All right, and then let's see here if there's any other questions. Does anyone have any questions while I'm here?
So hey, Jacob. Sorry, real quick. Maybe this relates to what you just said, but do you know what the ticker symbol will be? Like, is it CURE, like Cure token?
It'll be different than Cure.
Okay.
We've talked through a variety of different options. One of which is just calling it chain. The other one is CCure. So there's a couple options that we're evaluating, but that's all part of the contract release that'll be happening, planning for tomorrow.
Got it.
As we get that information, we'll definitely share it all over the community and socials, as well as the contract address once that gets published, because it will not be active, but you can review the code, you can review the contract, and all those sorts of things until it's active. All right, I saw another question here, I think from Da Vinci, right?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So, yeah, a couple things, I guess, comments. First thing, I guess, is that we don't see the total supply updated, with the burn of all, the real supply we have for Cure token into the CoinMarketCap, at least. I don't know if CoinGecko has it, and the total market cap as well. Sometimes that helps people to, have prediction on what they expect the price to go. Other thing is like, I guess, and I mentioned this before, but we have I know we are focusing in Cure Chain, which will support Cure token. When we have the 2% that will go to buy burn supply on Cure token, and depending on the volume, we might be seeing this going good, an amount. But also, I understand that Cure has a utility which is Cure Pay. Do we plan to have another type of utility in the long term? I don't know, for Cure token as well, since being a long-term holder, I'm just thinking about what else we will see in Cure token. Are we just going to focus on Cure Change and we'll try to drive the price using the 2%? I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's a lot that's being explored, and Cure Pay obviously is a very powerful utility, but it's going to only be as powerful as it is in the hands of other projects. So that is something that we are putting a lot of effort behind. The next evolution of that product is to get it into the Ethereum space. So this is also great that we're doing, this utility, because it is in Ethereum, and we need to upgrade Cure Pay to work in Ethereum. That's been one of the biggest feedbacks that we've heard. So Cure Pay is definitely a solid utility for Cure token. Cure Chain is a beneficiary utility for Cure token. There's going to be other types of things that are going to be benefiting Cure token that are, whether it's a direct utility or a pseudo utility. One of the things that we're going to be working on right on the heels of Cure Chain is the whole goal to make healthcare accessible, affordable, and equal. And that's going to be done through a variety of different methods, but most likely done through technology, through connecting networks, connecting doctors, through technology, and on all those sorts of things. So that is another utility which we're going to be coming out with. There are other utilities we've looked at, such as small scale, but such as doing charity contract audits helping other charity projects get off the ground. We've been looking at becoming a resource to other projects and that could directly impact, from a utility perspective, Cure Token and Cure Token holders. So there's a lot on the roadmap that we're exploring, but we're trying to be really focused and deliberate in how we approach things so that we're not a shotgun approach of just doing too much so quickly, but rather be very strategic about it. So this move to this beneficiary utility of CureChain is an extremely strategic move in that we're trying to increase or create a project that has a lot of volume in Ethereum space where there's a lot of big holders, but also finding ways to have that play a direct role and have a direct impact on Cure Token. And I think that strategically, this is a smart move for us. And this is not the last strategic move we're going to be making. There's a lot more on the roadmap. But to answer your question directly, CurePay is a focus of ours. We do need to branch into Ethereum, and then we're going to get this out into the hands of projects and project owners.
And to finalize, CurePay will basically benefit Cure Token in the BSC right system, right? I'm just, I also want to make sure that we are not forgetting that we have a Binance token, there. And I know we are trying to capture that in the tokenomics of the new token, but I just want to make make a comment regarding that.
Yeah, Da Vinci, that's a good point. Let me stop you there, and you can continue. But that's a really good point. We are not abandoning the BSC space. One of the critical path reasons that this is moving into Ethereum, there's so many reasons, but the critical reasons. One is that I guess the technology reason is that CureChain itself, the actual medical aspect of this that does the consent portion, is built on the Hedera network. There is a natural bridge from Hedera over to Ethereum. There is not today to the BSC space. So that technical limitation mandated that our future Hedera CureChain launch needs to be supported by Ethereum or other token. We could have gone with a Hedera token or other, but Ethereum seems the most natural because it has the largest penetration. The second piece of it is that the Ethereum audience and Ethereum investors tend to have much bigger pools of resources behind them in order to support projects. That's another thing that it limits us on the BSC space. So what we've done, again, strategically, is try to find a way to leverage that, but also benefit Cure Token, which this is doing. And I think that by doing that, it's opening up the BSC space to much more opportunity. So I think that this is breaking it down. It's a real fundamental sort of feeder into the BSC space. And I think it's strategically a very smart move in order to leverage the power of one network in support of the BSC side.
Okay, I understand. So we're planning in the future to launch Cure Token in the Ethereum network as well, like the same token, just to creating a bridge, or just we are staying in the Binance chain for the Cure Token. And before you answer that, maybe my two last comments. First thing is, like, are we going to have, or you guys check if we're going to have any issue like with the Cure Chain token in terms of volume, handling volume with all these features you add for controlling the wealth, living or selling or buying, if that may cause any issue in the volume, I guess. And then the other thing, we are about a year. Well, we have like 100 days more for the first people that let's say put tokens in Cure Token and the Cure page to stake. I know people that will just try to sell out when they have they will. We have any plan to mitigate that, let's say, impact in the chart, when it comes to the day of people like getting out because they comply with the 1 year lock. So think about that.
Yeah, all valid concerns, and I want to make sure I address all of them, and I probably won't capture everything that you just said, but let me start with that last one. The staking is going to end at some point. And there's the first people who got into staking for 1 year. That is going to open up. The only way that a project can weather that, and let me back up a second. The reason we introduced staking and the reason staking exists in projects is to protect early stage projects so that you can lock up, the largest whales or lock up a large significant amount of tokens so that it doesn't impact the chart all the time. So that you incentivize people to stake and get rewarded as a result. So a very strategic move in doing that. And most projects do that for that reason, that consideration. The way that you can temper the impact that happens when that unlocking does occur is to ensure that you have a larger liquidity pool than when the staking started. That's a major, one counter effect to the problem. That is also something that this Cure Chain release is going to help with. By putting the percentages back into Cure Token, it's going to build up the liquidity. The fact that tokens are going to be purchased and burnt, which means they can't be part of the supply, but as well the liquidity gets added to. So this is another way that's going to temper it. The only other solution is to ensure that we have, whatever it was, like 5x the liquidity of what the original staking amount was. But there might be other strategies still yet to be determined or discussed. But immediately, those are some of the ones that I know we've been discussing. So that's that topic. What was the other question that you had, or the other area?
I just commenting on if you guys check on the testing in Cure Chain when you do transactions, you create a volume, right, of transactions selling and buying. You guys have some feature that reduce the whales or high buyers, incentivate high buyers, or reduce the whales sell-off percentage. All right. So do you check if that will cause any issue on the volume? Since volume at the end will make an impact. Let's say in the long term, right? Try to keep the volume high. So just checking on that.
Yeah. So that comes down to the dynamic tax that you're questioning, and keep in mind that the taxes, on the buys don't exceed 10%, which is normal for projects. Cure Token, when we launched that was I think at a 12% tax, and then it got reduced to 10, and then reduced to 8. So 10% is right in the threshold. So on buys, the max tax would be 10%. And it can go down all the way to 4% depending on the buy amount that is made. The opposite of that is, I think, where you're questioning, and that's on the sells, which would manage our volume. Will it have an impact on our volume? And with the thresholds of where the price impact will be, I don't think it will. On the low side of the sell, you're going to be at 10%, which means you're right in line with the buy. So if you buy at a large amount and you're buying at 4%, then you sell and you're getting the 10%. I think that will not dramatically thwart our ability to create volume. I think it's going to come down to whatever the price impact is when we're going to start to see this. And also keep in mind that these are variables. So if we're assessing, early on in this launch over the next couple of days here, that something needs to get adjusted, we can adjust it and modify it so that it does not impact, our volume potential of what the project could do. I think there was another question that you asked I want to address, about a true bridge of Cure Token to Ethereum. That is something that I know I've discussed a lot in the past, and definitely as we entered into this new year, of what was our plan for Cure Token. Was it a fork to Ethereum? Was it a bridge to Ethereum? And none of those are ruled off the table. None of those ideas. What we needed to do was first, prove out Cure Chain. And we want to get to a demonstrable prototype of this consent model as quickly as possible. And Cure Chain on Ethereum is the means by which we can make that happen as quickly as possible. So that has taken a priority over an Ethereum fork or bridge, but that has not been ruled out. And that is something that is probably going to happen. among all of the other things. We have a lot of things in our roadmap, a lot of things that we've been exploring and talking about. But as I said, we want to do things really strategic. We don't just want to do all of these things at the same time, because then we won't execute well. So the goal here is to really strategically plan this out and execute against these things in a methodical and well-planned out way, so that we can ensure that we don't disrupt stuff in a negative way or impact things negatively, but rather continue to grow the ecosystem and build this into something that's really substantial over the life of this entity. So the first phase of this Cure Chain release is what we're in right now, and this will not be the last. There will be several more phases of this as we get past the next few months, the next few years, and then on top of that, there's other completely different beneficiary utilities and utilities which we're moving along as well, which will happen, some of these collinearly. So they'll be happening alongside, parallel to each other, and others which will be staged out, so that as we finish one aspect of something, then we move on to the next and move on to the next. But that's all part of our strategy here, is trying to figure out what are the moves that we're trying to make that are going to have the biggest impact for Cure Token long-term holders, and as well the entire ecosystem. Cool. Well, hopefully I answered all of your questions, Da Vinci. And if not, feel free to speak up again or write them in the chat. I will be happy to get anything answered. And I'm just taking another browse through the chat here and see if I missed anything. Okay. No, it doesn't look like I missed anything. So as always, if you do have any questions, feel free to DM me. I don't always have tons of time to answer, but I do answer all of them over time, and I don't want to miss anything. Oh, somebody wrote something here. 1 second. Let me see what the comment is. Yeah, all right. So T Began. Asking about how most investors look at short-term investments, and they don't give a lot of thought to the long-term value of a project. I think that that's extremely true. But what we want in this project are people who are in line with our long-term vision. This is not a pump and dump. It's not a meme project, a meme token. I think everyone's recognized that over the past 7-8 months here. This is a project which is getting continually invested into. We are working on this every single day. We have some pretty big plans for our future that we're working toward. So we have a very, I think, well planned out strategy, at least where we're at right now, and that's going to evolve and get stronger and greater. So this is a project that is not. It's not something that we're just hope this thing takes off, or let's turn this into a big pump and then move on to something else. That's not what all of this is. This ecosystem is something that is being built to build a strong foundation for a long-term investment. And I think another point there is we're building real-world utilities, things that we feel are going to have global impact. And that's a lot different than the next dog coin out there, or the next, let's go Brandon token, or whatever you want to look at. I mean, we are not that. And if you look at projects that go through different cycles, the real legitimate projects, they usually go through phases that we're in. They'll have an initial spike like we did. We got the 56 million market cap, and then they consolidate over time. And that consolidation happens for a period of time, and it could be months. I've seen in some cases, some projects have done it for a couple of years. But then eventually they get to the point where they release real world utilities that make a big difference. And then they come right back up. And more times than not, they just dwarf their previous all-time high. That's what I feel this project is doing. I feel like we're following that map. And I've seen some illustrations of this, of other projects that follow this pattern. And it's the ones that have those big spikes at the end are the ones where people are putting in all the time. They're coming out with real utility. They are continually working at building the project for the long term and for the long term investment. And that's what this is a long term hold. obviously, with this Cure Chain launch, as with any launch, that's a great opportunity for people to get in very early, and a lot of times they sell out, make a few bucks, and they move on. But I think we're going to see that just like with any other project. But this is a long-term hold. This is something that over time it's going to generate more value. If you look at Cure Token, for example, our supply it is going down. The total supply. We did have buyback and burn enabled at one point, which was eating a lot of tokens, putting them in our burn wallet. But now with Cure Chain feeding into Cure Token, that's going to happen more, and we'll have our burn wallet picking up, which is decreasing total supply, which is increasing liquidity, which is increasing price and value. So I think long term, we have a plan, we have a strategy, and now we're in the process of executing against this. And I'm excited about this Cure Chain release. I'm excited about what this is going to do to benefit the research highway that we're building, but also benefit existing Cure Token project liquidity and holders. Well, cool. Let me see if I missed any other questions here. And I don't see any. So cool. All right. Well, anyone, if you have any further questions or want to reach out to me directly, you can do that on Telegram. You can also reach me on Twitter, LinkedIn as well. I'm available there, and or email. So if you go to admin@curetoken.net or support@curetoken.net, those do come into myself. But otherwise, I'm really excited about this launch. I think we are in the final stages of putting all of the pieces in place to ensure that this is successful and tested. And it's just going to be, I think, a really great opportunity for people to learn about Cure and hopefully become long-term investors in Cure. So anyway, have a great evening, everyone. And look forward to a lot more information coming up over the next couple of days here as we prepare for the launch on the 2nd at 5 p.m. or so Eastern, right around there. So everyone take care, and I'll see you all here throughout the rest of the evening, tomorrow and Thursday for the launch. So cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.